So before we start the program, I'm going to play a video about Britain.
A few years ago, the British Museum got together with a series of other museums in Britain and museums across Europe, and they reached a consensus between them with Nigerian counterparts that they would loan back Benin bronzes in a sort of rotation between them. And the British Museum was happy with that arrangement, but that arrangement has completely fallen apart because virtually every other museum that was part of that arrangement has now decided to give back its bronzes, and the British Museum is standing alone.
Professor Mozuwa.
I'm with you.
Okay, so what is your take on that comment about Britain? You know, Barnaby Phillips was in our program a few weeks ago. So it was the same thing that we discussed about.
You know, Barnaby Phillips said it the way it is. You know, it is a pity that, you know, Britain is still holding on to those artifacts after, you know, the havoc they wreaked on the Edo people. I think it is, you know, out of sheer arrogance, because I listened to one of their officials who said, you know, it wasn't going to be possible for them to return those artifacts. So I really don't know, you know, why they are holding on to those artifacts, even when other museums across the world have agreed to return those artifacts to the original owners. Bringing back those artifacts will go a long way to healing, you know, the wounds. It is, you know, it wasn't only in respect of the cultural artifacts they took away. You know, when they eventually established in Nigeria, you know, they made sure they subjected us to the people. And, you know, educationally and otherwise, we were until the late Oba of Benin, Oba Akezwa, Oba Atokpe, you know, spearheaded the movement for the creation of Midwest states. So it's a very painful experience to see that these people are still not willing, you know, to undo what they did.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I will call Barrister Fred Ogiriake.
Yes, I would like to start by congratulating the Smithsonian Museum for the return of these artifacts. I would also like to congratulate all those, including the panel members today, for their contribution and in some aspect pressure, and of course the Neighbor Television for your very consistent agitation for the return of these artifacts to Nigeria, to Benin. I would like to start by saying that one of the reasons that I would advance for these unnecessary delay of the British leading the quest for the return of these artifacts to Benin would be, one, the act of deliberate delay. Now, I say deliberate delay because it is clear from the consensus that they reached with other nations who are in possession of these artifacts, that they are clearly aware of these ethical, moral reasons or argument for the return of these artifacts to Nigeria. The other issue is the financial benefits that these artifacts have been according to the British economy, and that they've been making quite a lot of money from these artifacts, and it's becoming very, very difficult for them, I would say, reluctantly difficult for them to return these artifacts back to the original owner. They're clearly aware that they stole these artifacts. I mean, let's be very honest, they stole these artifacts, and they've been making quite a lot of money through their museums all these decades. And I think someone who has been making that amount of money would find it very, very reluctant to return such property to the original owner. The third point that I would like to raise is the denial of the existence of the reality that these artifacts were actually stolen. To say that a man who stole a property from another will now agitate to share the possession of that property with the original owner they stole the property from is an aberration from moral, ethical, or legal tenets that you cannot, even under British law, when you acquire possession illegally or acquire assets illegally, there are provisions under British law to facilitate the restitution of those properties to the original owner under the Theft and Fraud Act, so that you do not benefit from your own enterprise of criminality. And there are laws like that in the UK. So the British government are clearly aware about this, that if you steal in the United Kingdom, that there are rules that preclude you from benefiting from that enterprise. But it is so unfortunate that when you look at these rules and compare the way the British are treating the artifacts stolen from the Kingdom of Benin, you find the disparity in the approach. That, so I would say, is a deliberate attempt, because there are rules there to follow. And then I would stop there for the time being.
Thank you for saying that it's a deliberate attempt, given that at Smithsonian